Hello and welcome to the ELO user training video series. In this series, we'll be teaching you all you need to know about ELO from a user's perspective. We hope that you find these videos informative, and if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below or email us your questions at the address in the description. In the last video, we learned about ELO's inbuilt workflow system. In this video, we'll be expanding on that through looking at ELO's substitution and delegation system. In this video, we will be discussing what is a substitution or a delegation, a scenario where an end user is assigned as a substitute, and a second scenario where a power user has to set up a delegation of another user's tasks. A substitution or a delegation is an action in ELO where a user can assign a task to another user or group, allowing these others to inherit the responsibilities of the substituting user. It is worth noting that the substitution rule can only be changed or deleted by the creator, the system administrator, or the supervisor of the user being substituted. Let's create a scenario and see the substitution at work. Scenario 1. An end user will substitute their roles and tasks to other users. The user Michael Smith has leave coming up in a week. They know that there are documents, contracts, invoices, whatever, they'll be processed during their absence that they would normally have to verify and approve. So, they will need to delegate their task to one of their colleagues who can approve it on the end user's behalf while they're on leave. Having logged in as Michael Smith, we want to delegate the user's tasks to Noah Taylor. The first step to take would be to go to the tasks area and see if there are currently any pending tasks. Checking the tasks area, we can see that there is a task that has currently been assigned to Michael. To delegate this task, we will go to the top right-hand corner of the screen where the user's name is present, press the drop-down arrow, and then select Assign Substitute. In the menu screen that we are being prompted with, we will select Noah Taylor and Harry Jones. In this substitute screen, we will also have the option to configure how many permissions or rights that we want to give the user's substitute or substitutes. For Noah, we will select Active Substitution in this period, setting the start day as today, and then selecting the end day in a week's time. With the option May Activate/Deactivate outside a scheduled period, we will give Noah the option to reject the substitution. An example of this in action would be that after a week, Noah can reject the substitution and get back to doing only their own work. With the option May Forward Substitution, we can give Noah the ability to pass the substitution to someone else. We can also provide a comment in the message field, which is what Noah will see when they receive the substitution notification. At the bottom of the menu, we can enable the option Substitute Inherits Everything, where the substitute will gain access to all tasks, documents, notes, and everything that Michael can see. With the Restrict Substitution option, we can individually configure how many rights we would want to pass on to the substitute. At least one of these three options must be ticked for the substitution to work. If we select Personal Tasks and Workflows, the substitute will only have access to Michael's personal tasks and workflows. As we can see, the Apply and OK options are still unavailable. This is because we have not yet set up all substitution users. Once Harry Jones is set up, we would then be able to push the substitution forward. For this scenario, we will go forward with only Noah as the substitute. But this shows that if you are having any trouble setting up the substitution and accepting it, most likely it's because not all users have been set up correctly. Let's now press OK, and before we log in as Noah Taylor, let's look at the workflow overview. Taking the task in front of us, we press the workflow icon at the top right of the screen. Here, we will be able to see the workflow of the document. In this case, the document was filed by Harry Jones, with the document waiting on Michael Smith to pass on. As we have added Noah as a substitution, he should be able to see the same task. Now that we have logged on as Noah Taylor, we will need to first accept the substitution proposed by Michael. To do this, we go to the top right where the user's name is located, press the drop-down arrow and then Accept Substitution. When we press this, we will be prompted by a menu that will show us the proposed substitution setup. Here, Noah will be able to see the substitution period, any messages, what type of permissions Noah has been given, and so on. If we now select the bottom Tasks menu, Noah will be able to see the task that was originally assigned to Michael. If we open the workflow overview, we will be able to see that the task was originally meant for Michael. To now accept the workflow, we must select the task. We go to the Task menu in the top ribbon band and then press Accept Workflow. Noah would now take ownership of the task and can now press Pass Workflow Forward. Complete all the tasks needed and approve it. The task has now been completed for Noah, meaning the company won't grind to a halt because someone has taken leave. This business continuity ensures that organizations can avoid downtime when users are available, and time won't be wasted setting up manual substitutions. Let's now approach Scenario 2 for substitutions. Dennis Walker has a full month of leave coming up, and in their excitement, they have forgotten to set up their substitution. It is possible for a power user, which is a user with additional permissions to most end users, to set up the substitution on Dennis's behalf. In this case, we have the power user Harry Jones, who we are currently logged in as. What we would do is to select the Assign Substitute option, and in the top right of the prompted menu, we will see the button Select User. By default, the user selected will be the logged in user. But once we press this button, we can search for a user to select, which we will now do, and search for Dennis Walker. As we can see, we are now setting the settings for Dennis Walker. We will now select the user who will be a substitute for Dennis, and we will follow the same process as completed in Scenario 1. We set the substitution period, including a message for Isaiah, and set the relevant substitution permissions. Once we have pressed OK, Isaiah will now have access to Dennis's tasks. As the creator of the substitute, we can also modify the existing substitute. Again, we will select Assign Substitute, select the user Dennis Walker, and now we can see the current active substitutes for the user. We can now change the substitution period and add or remove permissions. Once we press OK, these changes will be brought across. If, for whatever reason, we would want to remove Isaiah as a substitute, we would simply press the X icon next to the user's name. The very same process can be done for setting up a group as substitute. Selecting Dennis Walker, we can add the group IT and set up that group's substitutions period and access. This concludes our 6th training session. To recap what we aimed to learn in this video, we have understood what is a substitution or a delegation, gone through a scenario where an end user is assigned as a substitute, and experienced a second scenario where a power user has to set up a substitute for another user. If you have any questions about this video and what has been shown, please feel free to either comment on the video or please reach out to us at ELO. Thank you for watching.